So before we proceed, let me just introduce our guests for today. We have Dr. Vaishali Joshi, who's a senior obstetrician and gynecologist with Kokilaben Hospital, Mumbai. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next, we have Chaiti Narula, who's the editor, India Today TV, and she's a known news anchor. Chaiti, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I just want a small correction there. I'm in transition mode, so I won't be there with India Today for long. But yes, thank you.
Okay, sure. Next, we have Dr. Farah Adam. She's author, family physician, and a lactational professional at Kaveri Hospital. Dr. Farah, welcome to the show. And next, we have Kamna, who's a sustainable parent advocate and a nutritionist. Kamna, I welcome you to the show. So before we proceed with the discussions, let's just take some time out to look at a video that we have specially created to showcase the work that we have done in the last 3 editions of Bharat Nutrition Week.
Welcome to Mega Bharat Nutrition Week by ISW Council on the occasion of National Poshan Maah.
देश की इकोनॉमी इंप्रूव होनी चाहिए, अपने देश के हर आदमी को सच्चा डाइट मिलना चाहिए। इस कार्यक्रम के लिए ISW काउंसिल को धन्यवाद देता हूँ।
Food Show will try to understand the health habits and the health threats that we face in our day-to-day life.
We welcome you all to the second edition of the India's biggest virtual quiz on nutrition, the Bharat Poshan Premier Quiz.
Healthy Khayega India.
So in your practice as a gynecologist, what is some, when we talk, you have, I think, Dr. Avula is joining. Meanwhile, you can let us know about, how do you feel as a nutrition, the role that nutrition plays when it comes to healthy women and children, of course.
Yeah, I think healthy mother is a key for a healthy baby. And as we already know that traditionally we have a lot of challenges because of our dietary habits. There are lots of myths about what to eat, what not to eat in pregnancy. And as we know, we is a multicultural, secular country, many beliefs, people are vegetarian, non-vegetarian, and that has a lot of impact on our day-to-day intake of very important ingredients, which are actually the building blocks for the developing baby in the pregnant woman. And frankly speaking, if you see, even in a metro city, the women are still having iron deficiency anemia. Because why? Because they are born to the mothers who have been traditionally iron deficient. So this is the main problem. And I think the only way forward is what everybody is doing. And Bharat Poshan Week is making the public awareness of what is healthy, what one needs to eat right, and what are the myths are there, they needs to be busted. Because if you see on internet, there are when you are pregnant, there is list of things which one should avoid. So what one needs is a evidence-based correct knowledge that will help the pregnant woman to eat correctly. The other thing, in rural India, not the affordability, accessibility is also a problem. So one cannot afford to consult a nutritionist. So whatever is our day-to-day diet, in that, how do we modify, how do we add something, and that will improve the a newborn health, and that will affect the and make sure the next generation is healthy. There won't be any these generations of deficiency in our future generation.
Right, very rightly pointed out, ma'am. Let me take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Avula Lakshman. He's a former director grade scientist and head with Division of Public Health Nutrition, ICMR. Sir, I welcome you to the show. Sir, you are on mute. If you could just unmute for...
Right.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the delay. So just I was out of the station. Okay.
So I welcome you to the show, and coming since ma'am has already pointed out about how, public health initiatives go a long way in creating that right kind of awareness among communities. Your experience, as a head of Division of Public Health of Nutrition, then of course ICMR, you think this collaboration, when we talk about public health awareness and advocacy through media, and then of course when government comes in, so you think when these two come together, that can create a lasting impact when we talk about nutritional needs, especially of in a country like India, where most of the population does follow social media, other forms of media, and need awareness on these important issues.
Yes, you are rightly said, because it is the nutrition is very, very important for especially pregnant women. Because pregnant women, they cannot get immediately the nutritional status, but you have to we have to boost the nutrition from the since child born. Okay, so we cannot assure that during pregnancy, because we have government, as you said, government has initiated several public health nutrition programs. So more than dozen programs are available, are directly or indirectly helping improve the nutrition. Okay, some nutrition specific programs, some are the whole food programs also there. Some of the even micronutrient support programs also there. But here our national nutrition programs are very good by design, but only we are mostly failing in implementation. Okay, so and also because these are very free programs and government is spending a lot of money on that. But unfortunately, most of the programs, the beneficiaries are unknown properly, because as you said, the awareness, creation of awareness is very, very important. So most of the program, because I have been there in these programs more than 30 years. Okay, so we have evaluated several programs, but in all the programs, the problem is only one. So the awareness is lacking, and another one is the proper implementation. Because most of the programs, the implementer itself is monitoring. So there is no a vertical program for monitoring. So there should be some independent body that should monitor the program. So what are the benefits are there? What are the inputs are there each program? Whether those inputs are reaching to the community properly or not? Those periodical evaluation, supervision, monitoring is lacking in India. So that is the main problem. Of course, this formation of various groups for different domains, that is very, very important. And especially even last time also, I focused mainly the supervision. Supervision monitoring is very, very important. And second one is the creation of awareness, also very important. So the injecting knowledge is different, but whether that knowledge is converted into practice or not, that is more important. Because most of the people, we know that, okay, So eating balanced diet and eating a variety of foods, everybody knows most of it. But how far we are there in practice, that is more important. And in the so if the come if we come to the actual topic, okay, so the nutrition status of pregnant women, and then newborn child, then children. So that is more important, because based on that only the community buildup will be there. If the It is an intergenerational cycle. You might be heard. The undernutrition is an intergenerational cycle. If the child born malnourished, if the same child grow up adolescent, again if she produce children, so the undernutrition is generation to generation continues. So we have to break this intergenerational cycle somewhere. And another important point is, because most of the programs are there, but unfortunately, we don't have a registration of potential mothers. That is more important, because registration of potential mothers, if it is there in program, so if the potential mothers, those who are want child, so those registration is there, we have to screen all the potential mothers. And what are the macro and micronutrient problems are there? How to monitor those deficiencies, and how to fill those gaps. So then only the women become nutritious, and whatever the outcome of the pregnancy will be good. So thank you for giving this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Abola. Very rightly, you have pointed out how there are gaps in implementation, which I will come to you in the later part of the discussion. Chetty, can you hear us? Because Sir specifically talked about how awareness creation is an important issue. And you being from, from a journalism background, what role you think, media can play in initiating this positive change? Because the government is doing good work, the policy is there, but when people are not aware of that, so to create that level of awareness where people go out and seek those benefits, you think media does, what role can media play actually?
The media plays a very important role when it comes to awareness, especially about health, nutrition, diets, etc. Even when it comes to pregnant women, babies, etc. Right? There's a lot of misinformation that gets circulated across the board through social media. There is nobody to check whether the information coming out there is correct or not. There are a lot of influencer collaborations we end up seeing where you see people getting carried away by, say, take this pill or have that collagen drink or do this or do that, and most of these come from a highly unregulated industry. You don't know the supply chain, you don't know the manufacturing chain, you don't know where these meds or even supplements which are touted to be, say, herbal or touted to be, say, natural or safe or effective are really coming from. Where is your safety seal? You don't even know who's making them. And this has become a bit of a fashionable statement even on Instagram these days, to be on nutraceuticals and to be on all these pills which basically may or may not be fundamentally benefit you, because it's a monster that we have created out of this industry, which requires a huge amount of regulation. And I would urge the government to bring in some level of regulation on that front. And I think where media comes in is where we play the role of breaking it down for our viewers or our readers by bringing in the right kind of doctors on board to talk to us about various different fads that are making round, supplement them with scientific peer review data. In fact, I'm writing a book just about this right now. It's called Cut the Noise. And it's got all the top doctors of the country empaneled with peer review data on what works, what doesn't work, what is most popular, and why everything that's popular may or may not be good for you. It can probably cause more harm than good, right? So for us in media right now, more than spreading information, the biggest challenge for us is battling misinformation that exists today. And this misinformation, how do you know whether something is misinformation or not? You would have some major media house also, probably, I don't know of any, but maybe there could be a chance that they are spreading misinformation. How do you know that? by the responsible media, the legacy media that people trust, to empanel the right kind of doctors to do content around it. Content could be digital, it could be print, it could be television, it could be anything, right? But as long as we're reaching out to the masses and giving them the right fact as opposed to the myth that is circulated, and telling them that before consuming any of this, or for your nutritional needs, you cannot be on fad diet just because a Kim Kardashian is on it, or somebody has come up, some celebrity saying, oh, guess what, I'm vegan from today, and that is the healthiest diet for you to be, and hence all the pregnant mothers start turning vegan. It is a recipe for disaster. It's going to leave them nutritionally deficient. It's going to lead to multiple complications because it's a very nutritionally deficient diet. So for us, I think we are at a cusp where we are telling people, look, go to a certified primary care physician. Let that physician tell you what you require after assessing your individual blood reports or after assessing your individual state. What may work for me may be poison for somebody else and vice versa, right? So I think that's where our responsibility comes in. Number one, battling misinformation. Number two, arming our readers, viewers with the right kind of information that is coming through legitimate sources like doctors who are qualified to give that information, and peer data which proves that something doesn't work. It proves that something works. Who does it work for? And hence circling them back to the right authority to advise them, which is the primary care doctor.
Right, Chetty. Very rightly you have pointed out. Coming to you, Kamna, because you are there in the space of social media, and Chetty has very rightly pointed out that there is a lot of misinformation, myths that are that come in the system. So what is, and since you are there on Instagram, an influencer for sustainability, parent advocate, so what is your take when we talk about this misinformation, myths related, and especially with something as critical as your health? How do we counter?
Like Charity rightly mentioned that there is no regulation as such happening when it comes to social media. All these brands reach out to the mothers who have no idea about the nutrition or the nutrients, or have any kind of knowledge about the nutritional education, and they are the easy target. And for them, it's an easy way to earn money first, and second is there's a lot of anecdotal evidences that they rely on rather than relying on the researchers. Whereas, like, if a brand like Cerelac is reaching out to a mother, for example, to promote their brand, so for them it's like, oh, we have been fed on Cerelac since like when we were kids and nothing happened to us, right? So it's safe, right? So there is a lot of anecdotal factors that people rely on. When it comes to my house also, I'm a nutritionist myself, but my parents doesn't even agree to what I say. My mother believes that I should be feeding my kids Bonvita, where I'm totally against it. When I started my journey on social media, there were a lot of brands that are coming to me to promote their products. There are brands, when it comes to pharmaceutical industry, there are brands who are making this vitamin C gummies, right? Which influencers are promoting nonstop. For them, it's just like a candy. We all know that is filled with sugar, right? I was once, given this. I was once given this. What do you call it? A session I had to speak on vitamin C, and it was funded by a Kiwi company called Zespri in Delhi. And when I saw the slide which I had to present, there was a comparative analysis between the kiwi as a fruit and versus apple and oranges. So nowhere in that comparative analysis there was mention of guava, which is the highest source of vitamin C. There was no mention of Indian gooseberry, which has the highest bioavailability when it comes to vitamin C, right? So this is how we, market our products. This is how we tell people that, oh, kiwi is the superfood. It's not your guava. It's not your amla, which is easily available, which is affordable, right? And when it comes to parents like us, I think there's so much information on social media, and it becomes very overwhelming to trust like what is right and what is wrong, right? And that is where I feel like when you are becoming a parent, it is must, along with how parents are taking Lamar's classes. The nutritional education is must for parents, each parent, because once the child starts with the traditional food journey, like after 6 months, when you introduce solids to the child, after a few months, most of the parents complain that, our child is picky, the child is not eating at all, right? And we very soon label the child that our child is a picky eater, right? And one of the biggest mistakes that parents do is that, associating food with just nutrition. Food is not just nutrition. Food is also about, your emotions. We attach emotions with food. Food is also about culture, your traditional food wisdom. Food is also about accessibility, where the food is coming from, the cost factor. There's so many things that are associated with food. It is not just about nutrition. And the moment the child starts rejecting food, we start labeling the child as a picky eater, but we don't understand that, there are so many things that goes into creating that positive association when we talk about food and the child, right? When the child is not eating food, what do? If the child is not eating certain vegetable, what will we say? We'll say that, you finish this vegetable, I'll give you a candy, or you'll get a chocolate, or you'll get an ice cream. So we are attaching this negative association with the food. We are telling a child that this food is wrong, but you have to eat it and you'll get a reward, and the reward is sugar. Right? So I think it is not a rocket science, but it has been made a rocket science due to social media, due to various marketing that has been happening uncontrolled. That's it.
Yeah, that indeed was very rightly pointed out that, food marketing and all that comes into play. And this is how a food that is not even nutritious is marketed as being the best for your child. So coming to you, Dr. Farah, since you are also in this space of, influencing and Instagram and social media. So you think, doctors like you, what role they can play in creating that level of education where, the viewers can differentiate between what is, right for them, what is something that they need to, check before implementing them in their daily habits. What is your take on the whole scenario?
Okay. Hi. Thank you so much, ISW, for giving me this opportunity to speak in Poshan Ma. I would start by saying I have written this book, Newborns and New Moms, which talks in detail about the diet of the mother. The second chapter is devoted to that. And coincidentally, my next book is also on nutrition, just nutrition alone, where I try to bridge the gap between naturopathy, Unani, allopathy, and Ayurveda, and try to unite these four disciplines. So now, my issue is, there is the people who give us these guidelines for the diet, like you can say the American Heart Association, CDC, FDA, all of them are flawed. All of them have really warm hands, a lot of under the table businesses going on. And if I would recommend this book to Chaiti and Kamna, The Empire of Pain and Vitamania. These two books are gold in knowing what goes behind FDA and CDC. And they themselves are very, very flawed. And this is where our own research comes into the picture.
I've requested you message it to us, please.
Yeah, sure, Shelly.
Thanks.
I'll do that. So these books talk about, in fact, we have some books in India also talking about the Ranbaxy scam. I have not reached that book yet, and I'm still collating my research for my second book, which is an enormous task, because all the studies are flawed. In fact, one of the leaders of New England Journal said all of these studies in New England Journal, in Lancet, are flawed. So where do we get our information on? How do we go about it? That itself puts doctors at a whole, in a very risky situation. We are the voice, yet the person who's speaking into our ears that person itself is corrupt to the core, which over here would be the FDA, the CDC, the American Heart Association, the American Diabetes Association. All of them are flawed. Now, coming to, I would like to stress on a few things, like Dr. Avula said, the gaps in implementation. Now, when my book was first released, I had a talk with Baby Chakra and Mr. Nilendu. I remember him clearly. He was from the CRY Foundation, and the problem he said was the information does not go from the doctor. This can be a community medicine doctor, a person who has just an MBBS or a BAMS or a BHMS, who is implementing at the rural level. So there was this one woman, she was given iron supplements for her iron deficiency anemia, and she took them, allegedly. And turns out her backyard, she lived in a pakka house, her backyard was red in color because she used to take the iron supplements and throw them behind. And they all oxidized to give a very big proof that she did not eat even one of those tablets of the ferrous sulfate that she was given. And the other thing is, we as doctors should not think that we are gods. That God complex should go from doctors. Our information, our studies, they have been flawed since the World War I and World War II, when Rockefeller discovered petroleum, and he discovered that a lot of allopathy medicines can come from these petroleum products. And that's how allopathy, it's a whole political issue, how allopathy has taken the center stage, and all alternate medicine sciences, which were the actual medicine sciences, have taken a backstage. It's a huge, I wouldn't even say, it's not even a conspiracy theory anymore. It is the blatant truth staring at us in the face, how the Rockefellers very systematically removed alternate medicine just to make the quick buck. And now that quick buck is running the long run. It is a gift that keeps giving. For example, the cholesterol medicine, statin, you start a patient on that, there is absolutely no guideline when to stop that cholesterol medicine. And cholesterol, as we know, is the food for our brain. And no matter what you do, the liver will produce the cholesterol. This is just a small example. And statins, once you start a statin, the patient will come back with dementia. The patient will come back with diabetes in the future. So this is a big hole in allopathy. Here, we need to understand the role of the ASHA workers. The ASHA workers are the ones who will speak the language, the tone, the nuances of the language to convince, even if I know Kannada very well. If I go to Udupi, if I go to Hubli, if I go to Belgaum, if I go to Gulbarga, the language is totally different. The understanding, so here, the doctors need to realize how much we are dependent on the ASHA workers for implementation of good nutrition advice. And another thing is, in the influencer community, I have been contacted many times to promote certain gummies and supplements, as Kamna has also been approached. And I have always said no. In fact, I was asked to speak 2 weeks back about nutritional supplements. And I did not even, I have never taken a penny for any of the products I have promoted, which is like hardly like 3 products probably I promoted in my entire last 4 years of influencing. I'm not an influencer, by the way. I'm just a content creator. And the problem that lies over there, I do not promote supplements. I will not give my child a supplement. I will not take a supplement unless absolutely necessary. I will only give generic drugs which I trust to my patients. And I always change. Suppose I'm a family physician, so I have to routinely prescribe vitamin D. So I will always rotate my brands so that I don't favor any specific brand and I don't get any kickbacks from any medical reps. So that is a very important.
So I'll come back to you, Dr. Farah, for more, but I can see Dr. Vaishali nodding to what you were saying. So Dr. Vaishali, because when we talk about, since you are in that field, when we talk about pregnant women, and like you pointed out at the beginning only, that during pregnancy itself, the base for a, healthy mother and healthy child is, put together. So like Dr. Farah said, that there are certain supplements which are not, when she talked about supplements and all, but when it comes to, pregnancy and looking at the Indian scenario, like she talked about iron deficiency, you talked about how most of the women are anemic in the country. So how do you tackle that, during pregnancy? How do we ensure that the women is getting her dose of nutritional requirement, for her and for the child as well?
I think it's it's very important for any pregnant woman to understand why it is important for her to take anything. Meaning, I think the communication is the key. And nowadays, everybody, if you tell any mother that this is going to help her and her baby to have a good outcome, anybody will be taking that medicine. So I completely agree with Dr. Farah. Even though being an allopathy doctor, I believe that it's very important for us to grassroots level to understand the local culture, their diet, and even though I'm not a dietitian, but as a complete doctor, it's very important for us to stress to use the local ingredients in their diet to optimize their balanced diet. Particularly, as we know, the iron deficiency anemia is because of low iron food or habits, like people drink tea and along with that they eat poha, so there is no absorption of iron. So these are the things which we can correct. Then simple green leafy vegetables supplement, then beetroot, carrot, all these things. These are simple things where the people affordability doesn't come into action and they can just modify the diet and do it. I always tell all my patients that popping up pills is not the way forward for a long-term health, and that is because everything comes with a package. So the more you do it naturally, that will be you will be able to sustain it longer, and it will help whole family. And because there are siblings, so even that will make a lot of difference. The other common deficiencies we have is calcium deficiencies, vitamin D deficiencies, like having sun exposure to sun itself is a simple measure a woman can do. Then folic acid deficiency. Luckily, we have fortified products available which will help. But if we try to tell patients explicitly that this is what the measures are which you can do naturally without spending a penny, and they will be more than happy to do it. The other things which we have, I was telling you about the myths, like people think that yes, eating methi, which is a green leafy vegetable, can be bad for this heart. Then eating papaya, the ripe papaya is actually a good source of fiber, but I always tell them that everything eat in balance. There are certain food products also in our ingredients one should avoid in pregnancy, particularly mercury content fish like mackerel. All these are simple things. So what we really need to do is spend some time to explain to them why it is important and what are the simple measures they can do to give their babies a better future and to avoid a generation which is depleted of basic macro and micronutrients. Yes, sometimes when you are a vegetarian, there is always, meaning in first time when a patient comes to me with a positive pregnancy test, the first question is, madam, what protein supplement should I take? I always tell them it's better to take a natural way. If you are a vegetarian, yes, vegetarian people also have protein in their diet. I think there are nutritionists on the panel which can give them simple dal, dalia, can help, paneer, cheese, and even the other meat they have, oh, can I eat egg and all those things which are natural resource of protein. The other myth is, oh, because I'm pregnant, I need to have double the meal. No, that's not. So, and obviously pregnancy makes, there are challenges, particularly first trimester, a woman cannot eat because of lot of nausea, vomiting, then because of iron supplement, there is constipation. So all these things needs to be really addressed. And as Dr. Farah said, and in our kind of ASHA workers or the grassroots level, there can be more communication if doctors are busy, but still I feel it's every professional's duty to have give some time for all this holistic discussion to a patient, so that they understand what they are doing. They wouldn't spend their money and efforts into other things which may be more harmful. And I definitely think, see, when we practice medicine, it's not just allopathy, I believe in complementary medicine, and in that everything comes into play, and main is patient is a main team member. And if we try to keep the patient and explain to them in their own language, they just follow your advice. And what is important is the awareness, which I have already said, and giving them a correct evidence-based information, and good supplementation of iron. I think unfortunately iron, we are so iron deficient, calcium deficient. So these are the two medications which are really available at in our all government scheme. But it's important for patients to take it, not what Dr. Farah said, to be thrown away and then go buy to a pharmacy and buy expensive medication. So yes, generic medicines does have a room, and they are more affordable, but it is important for our patients to take them, and we as a doctor make them aware the need for it, to prevent small growth restricted baby, to prevent premature labor, to prevent any defects in the babies, improve their general IQ, and have a good healthy baby. So that key is public awareness.
Vaishali, you very rightly pointed out that, until and unless it is avocado, kiwi, it is not considered, that is this mental block that we Indians have. It is not considered nutritional, full of nutrition or healthy. So, Dr. Awula, coming to you, since you come from that background of medical research,
have you frozen?
I think she has. Yeah.
Maybe connectivity gone?
Yeah, I think they're working on it.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Now, tell me.
Internet issue, I guess. So, Dr. Awula, when we talk about Indian diet per se, what is your take in terms of nutritionist, value, traditional Indian food, millets? How would you, and the government is doing such tremendous work, in yoga, millets, making a comeback of all those traditional things, even our healthcare systems, when we talk of Ayurveda and all. But when we talk about nutrition and food and how traditional Indian diets were, initially so full of them, and now we are going back to basics as such.
Yes, you rightly said that, because have been doing this diet surveys throughout India. We have dietary data since 1975-79 onwards, and several layers of diet survey we have collected. And actually, I was the director of National Nutrition Monitoring Bureau for a long time. So the National Nutrition Monitoring Bureau used to collect the diet and nutrition status of different population groups, especially rural population, tribal population, and some rounds of urban population also there. Even previous speakers said that even urban population also, even urban pregnant women also deficient of several micronutrients, in spite of having lot of food availability and even purchasing capacity and all those things, because the knowledge. Because people say that because even just literate is not nutrition literacy. So all literates are not nutrition literates. Okay, so nutrition literacy is very, very important, as I said. And And in our diet surveys, so diet surveys, very surprising findings we have observed. We given pregnant women supposed to eat eat almost 1.5% of RDA compared to normal women. But surprisingly, even the pregnant women not able to consume or eat even equal to a non-pregnant, non-lactating women. We used to call NPNL women. So those are the facts are very shocking. So how can we expect that the outcome of the outspring of the pregnant woman is a normal weight? Because the intake itself is very less. That is one thing. And the second one is the density of food is also lacking. We have also calculated density of different micronutrients, even iron deficiency, B12 deficiency, vitamin C deficiency, density in the food. So that is also matters. If the density of the particular micronutrient is less, even the women is eating a sufficient quantity of food, but the naturally the women lacks the food. So as you asked this, so we have recently published one book. So what India eats, different population groups and different age groups, different genders. So we have published that what India eats. So a lot of this information is available, and the book is available on the website. NIN National Institute of Nutrition website is available. So here, as you said, the traditional diets, because traditional diets full of micronutrients, full of balanced diet. And if you take traditional diet, especially millets is a nutri-cereal, very rich in micronutrients and macronutrients, and especially minerals, vitamins. So now, so we are very fortunate that this 2023 is announced as the International Year of Millets. A lot of promotion is going on, lot of encouragement is going on from government, from all the organizations, and several. We have conducted more than 50 seminars, conferences, and you may be aware that I am the National Secretary of NSI, Nutrition Society of India. You may be aware, all nutritionists may be aware. So the through NSI, we have 37 chapters in different regions and states. So through chapters, through our headquarters, we have been organizing several meetings, seminars to promote traditional diet. And several studies also there versus traditional diets versus current diets. What are the benefits, merits, demerits? And the traditional diets not only improve the micronutrient status. Traditional diet is also evidence is generated saying that the traditional diets reduce the overweight, obesity, the non-communicable like hypertension, diabetes, and even hyperlipidemia. These are the studies available because now we are advocating traditional diet, so that is now coming in there. So the millets, because previously millets is a pure man diet. Now it becomes a rich man diet because rich man, so those who are aware nutritional things. So now people are buying with a lot of high price. Now the because of thanks to our schemes, the 1 rupee rice and other things, the dietary diversity is lacking now because people are selling all these traditional diets and they are buying the rice and eating rice, and that will create havoc to the health because of eating only rice, and the diabetes, prevalence of diabetes is increasing, prevalence of non-communicable disease increasing, prevalence of micronutrients also increasing. So now we are, so our job is to, now we have to bring back those traditional diets into the rural population. Even rural population also now forgotten to eat the traditional diet.
Right.
So because of these things, so my main focus is on that.
Right.
Another important point is that IYCF practices, because child health, infant and young child feeding practices, several studies we have evaluated. The IYCF practices are very poor. So the priceless, because initiation of breastfeeding within 1 hour, as a medical, our colleagues also saying that the initiation of breastfeeding, nothing we are investing, nothing money is required. It is only behavioral change. And that is not happening. Not even 50% of mothers are unable to initiate the breastfeeding within 1 hour. Several studies also there. So how this will be benefited? And exclusive breastfeeding. So here 2 class of people are there. Sorry, very enthusiastic mothers. Those who are very optimistic mothers. If you see in rural mothers, they say that my breast milk is sufficient even after a year. So extreme thing. And I can give all formula nutrition beverages and even itself. Still both are wrong. Okay, exclusive breastfeeding should be there for 6 months. Complementary feeding immediately after 6 months. So this is not happening. So these are the focused areas. We have to create awareness on IVCF practices and maternal nutrition and adolescent nutrition. Okay, so and the balanced diet, the traditional, as even the low cost nutrients are available, low cost nutritious foods are available. The thing is we have to create awareness. Okay, some cheap foods and high foods. So these are the taboos also there. Okay, if we pay price very high, that is seems to be good. That's the thing. Guava is very cheaply available, but lot of vitamin C is there. Several things. So these are the things we have to clearly convince the people, clearly convince the mothers, clearly convince the pregnant women, lactating women, and we have to break this intergenerational malnutrition. Thank you. Again, she lost?
Yeah. Yeah, she's on mute. She's on mute.
Yeah.
You're on mute. Bejat, you're on mute. You are on mute.
Now? No,
Yeah.
I don't think I am on.
Yeah, now you're unmuted. Now you're unmuted.
Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
But you.
Yeah, there's some issue with internet. Yeah. So, Dr. Avula, you very rightly pointed out about the importance of breastfeeding, about which I'll be coming to Dr. Farah to, to spill the beans on that. Coming to you, Kamna, because Dr. Avula talked about how, there's a rising obesity among children, especially, and you being a parent yourself who keeps on advocating for sustainable and healthy diets. What is your take? Because most of the children today, they are not too much into healthy eating, and so how do you convince them to take the healthier route when it comes to food? And of course, traditional Indian food is full of nutrition and they have their own health benefits. But how do you convince children to?
See, it is very so when there's multiple resources online to read about which is good for you and which is not good for you, right? But when you are a parent, especially like I'm a parent, it is very difficult to implement the same thing at home because it has a learning curve, right? And each day is different when it comes to the kids. You have to deal with their moods, you have to deal with the peer factor, which plays an important role, because if you are following certain things at home, the other families are not following, your kids will question you, like, why those kids are being given chocolates or chips or cold drinks, but we cannot eat the same thing. So, and it gets very difficult because junk foods or, all these foods are everywhere. You go to supermarkets, they have been strategically placed on the shelves near the cash counters, right? So that, and with the attractive labeling, right? So the dull and boring food, which is healthy at home, you're now competing with the food which is attractive, full of colors, different shapes, right? And of course, these companies are making it more and more attractive, and they are adding more and more sugar because sugar is addictive, sugar is cheap, and that's why it is good for profits. And they will never, if you compare the sugar content of cereal for adults versus sugar content for the cereal for children, the sugar will be higher in the kids, right? And that's why we are facing not only obesity. By 2030, I think we will be having 27 million kids will be obese in our country. We already were topping the list when it comes to the malnourishment, but we are also now topping the list of obesity as well. And and it is becoming another pandemic, and people are not aware about the harmful effects of such food, right? For them, it's just like, oh, we are just giving it today. It's just one chocolate. It's just one candy. It's not going to affect, but we don't see the long-term effects of such food items, right? And I would always tell parents that not to make it complicated when it comes to the introducing food to your kids. Research, there have been researches which have shown that you have to give kids minimum one food minimum 15 times. Then only they start associating and they start liking that particular food. For example, if I talk about, I hated ladyfinger when I was a kid, but now I love it because my mom never stopped giving it to me, right? Second thing is that parents always force food to the kids. They'll just keep on forcing. We cannot just force food to the kids, especially in the primary years when they are learning how to regulate their emotions. And, that is a very, very important age. And I always tell parents to trust the intuition of the child. No child would want to stay hungry. We just want to understand that, how can we create a positive association with the food? And how can we do that? By bringing various diverse kind of food, the local diverse food that is existing in our country. We are blessed to be in India where there's so many, diverse food products, right? Vegetables, fruits, you talk about cereals, you talk about rice, you talk about millets. There's so many things that are available, right? And yet kids are not eating, when you talk about millets. So, parents tell, oh, my child doesn't eat millet. For that, you have to introduce millet as a family food. You cannot just say that, oh, I won't eat millet, but I want my child to eat millet, right? Yeah. So it has to be incorporated as a culture in the family. You have to, bring your kids into the kitchen, make sure that, they are learning about where the food is coming from, how the farmers are working so hard to bring food on our table, right? Make sure that, they are helping you in the kitchen by cutting vegetables, fruits, and talking about the food more, right? It is overwhelming and it is tiring for the parents, but it is, I think, right now we are at this stage where, we're having so many nutrition deficiencies, even though for everything that we want due to globalization, and yet we are so deficient. So somewhere we are just, there are some gaps which we are not able to fill. And honestly, it is not like that difficult, but because of so much information, like everybody mentioned, available on social media, we just don't know who to trust, right? And so I would always say that let your, just eat seasonal local food. Let your kids play in the mud. Let your kids get dirty, right? There has been a research which shows that this urban microbiome has reduced to an extent that, it is affecting our guts as well. We are talking about, sir, like he said, that vitamin B12 deficiency. And now what makes the vitamin B12? It's the soil microbes, right? That's how it comes to our body. So if you're not letting our kids get dirty, not getting hyper about each fever, right, which is so normal, they have to get immune to such things. I don't think so we can, have a healthy child. Also, just because your child is skinny, that doesn't mean your child is unhealthy. Or just
unhealthy,
child,
right?
Is little bit healthy, like looks little fat. That doesn't mean your child is obese, right? We all are of different shapes and bodies.
Shapes and sizes, right?
So you don't need to push your child to eat more food.
Right.
Let just trust the intuition of the child.
Right. Thanks, Kamna. That indeed was very, thought-provoking. Coming to you, Chaiti, your last, takeaways or the role, on the role of media, how, we can emphasize on the need for better literacy when it comes to nutritional, requirements of children, women, and how in the longer run, they can contribute in making a healthier nation, Chaiti, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. So you're right. I think it's an ongoing effort. It's not a one-time effort. You cannot be doing one story and get out of it. I think every channel, every newspaper, every magazine should have a dedicated health beat with the responsible journalists as a part of it. And responsible journalists meaning the ones who are well read, the ones who keep an eye out on all the peer-reviewed data as well, the ones who are always and always in touch with the right kind of doctors to battle the misinformation that is being spread around, the ones who are doing specific and special shows along with different topics that really matter, right? The ones who are battling myths and misinformation on a daily basis because they are everywhere and they are every day. Every day I will see some gummy being promoted to some other gummy being promoted for hair, something for the nails, something for better I don't know sex life to I don't know what not, right? There's like
Right.
these days you have some gummy for everything, literally supplements for literally everything, and just because they are labeled as safe and herbal does not mean that they are. So I think the journalists need to be aware of that. Also, we were talking a lot about cost effective food. So I'm in complete agreement with the panelists that just because something is expensive, like an avocado, doesn't mean it's the healthiest food in the world. I think you can get equal amount of nutrition with a regular diet, which is easily affordable at your regular kirana store and your grocery market as well. You don't really have to keep having this superfood for that, and that's about fine. If you can afford it and you want to add that as an adjunct to the diet, there's no problem. But we all need to realize that our regular balanced diet takes care of almost literally all requirements of our dietary what you call a requirement. But
Right.
I also feel that when it comes to medication, there is a bit of this thing there because what you call gap there because recently there was a guideline from I think it was the government. I'm not very sure. I wish I could refer to it. The government gave out a deadline saying that look, the doctor should be prescribing generic drugs
IMA. Right. Right. Right.
and they should not be promoting the branded drugs. But I think the doctors came out and gave a backlash on that because they found certain branded drugs to be working far more better than the generic ones as well. Now, these branded drugs will always cost you more than the generic ones. So I think it's never a easy answer. And I think the reportage should look at things like that and give you actual data on what happened when a certain group of individuals was given the generic drug versus the branded drug. And yes, the branded drug is more expensive, but probably it is far, far more effective than the non-branded one. All this data needs to be made available to the public. And I think the impetus also lies largely on the doctor to promote the ethical standards of giving out medication as well. The onus lies on the doctor, on the caregiver. The onus lies on you as a consumer to become far more discerning, not by everything you see on in media, but only restrict yourselves to the qualified people who are reporting on this issue because they will guide you better, knowing that there is no conflict of interest or monetary conflict of interest. So even when brands come to me to promote things on my Instagram myself, if it is paid for, it is always mentioned that it is paid for. But I will never promote anything, no matter how much money they give me, when I know it is causing harm to society, right? And hence, I keep away from promoting anything that is medical in nature or medicine or, something that can impact people. Your editorial integrity needs to be maintained, and hence, you need to kind of only give out the information which is unbiased in nature and back it up with facts also. And my request going out to all the influencers out there is do not blindly promote anything just because that brand is paying you. Think about the harm you end up doing to the society when you do that. So that is my urge. probably the government can look at bringing in certain kind of a regulation or a law in that regard, that influencers cannot be promoting gummies and supplements and all these kinds of medicines which are over the counter available. Just because something is available over the counter does not mean it is safe and does not mean that you have to take it too. So I think there needs to be a proper legal system in place for the people who are promoting these brands on social media, so that the consumer is well guided and not misdirected. And that I feel the government needs to get far more stricter, even with media reportage around that, and even with the influencer marketing that we're seeing these days in mass media around that. So I think it all comes, even if the laws exist, I want to ask, where is the execution of those laws? Are you really using those laws to your benefit or not? So I think it is a collective effort by the responsible stakeholders, by the responsible doctors, by the governments, by the lawmakers, the practicing doctors, the journalists, and even influencers to then comply with what is being said, because it is very, very easy to take the money and promote something without realizing the kind of harm you cause to society.
Right, right. Thanks for that, Jayati. Coming to you, Dr. Farah, because when we talk about building a nutritious future for children and women, we cannot, ignore the importance of breastfeeding. And in India, there are a lot of myths, related with that. And there is so much of information, that keeps you in a confusing situation, what to do, what not to do. So please, let the viewers know about the importance of breast milk and how to ensure that, it creates a lasting and, long-term impact for the child and mother as well.
First things first, let us stop being enslaved by the white man. We always look for inspiration to the white man. The white man took our haldi and sold it back to us as curcumin latte, which annoys me to no end. They are telling us how to make haldi ka doodh, which is just like a slap in my face. It's like that. So let us stop trying to emulate the white guy. Second thing, this I want to address to Chaiti. She told about these supplements, right? I'll come to the breastfeeding question, but this I want to address to Chaiti about these supplements for sexual wellness. The author of Vitamania, Catherine Price, she took in her video, she took one supplement which was meant for sexual wellness in men. She cut it open and she showed the blue pill inside, which was the Viagra, sildenafil. So that is how deep it runs, and that is how unregulated it is, completely unregulated. I can literally sell you a bottle of sanitizer and say that this is good for your skin, drink it every day. I can literally be Trump and sell you bleach. And nobody is going to come and stop me. Nobody has the authority to stop me. And when it comes to breastfeeding, a new research has shown that Western women, thanks to their generations of microwave food and hollow nutrition, even their breast milk is not breast milk anymore. Its formula is superior to breast milk in certain parts of USA. And that is a very shocking thing to hear as a doctor. Another thing I want to bring to notice is it's not just our influencers who are influencing other women. Yes, it have a big impact. It's more like a competition. Oh, she has it, I also want to get it. That is also there. But what about who are our role models? Beyonce. Who are our role models? I don't even want to shame any role model from India, but whoever has a nursery in her house and has a nursery reveal, I am not that happy with what we're doing. And whichever actress, Bollywood actress, bounces back after pregnancy. Within 2 weeks, she starts an exercise routine to get rid of the body fat and to not breastfeed. They choose to not breastfeed. There are multiple people I can name, which I don't want to, because that's not right on my part to shame anybody. But the bouncing back culture needs to go. That is point number one. Point number two, it put on, because that tells them to lose weight and to a healthier weight loss. Very important thing in my research for my book Newborns and Newborns that I read about is that there was after breastfeeding. Now this is the comparative boards for 3 weeks, 3 months, or a whole year, and the visceral fat, the bad fat that coats the inside of the organs, remained even though they were their BMI was perfect. They had the super figure, the visceral fat remained, the bad fat that coats your organs remained. And over here, one Hindi saying comes to my mind: "Dane dane pe likha hai khane wale ka naam." That visceral fat was for your child, and no matter what you do, it is not going to leave you. That
Right.
child, and some might say formula is best, breast is best, fed is best. My first child was partially breastfed and formula fed, and that was the main motivation why I wanted to write this book. There are mothers out there who want to feed and don't get the societal support. They're shamed right after birth. Oh, you're so fat. Oh, you don't have enough milk. Oh, your breasts are so soft. You know, such things. And that has a very long-term impact on the psyche of the mother that can result in their milk supply going low, the lack of positive reinforcement, the lack of belief, the lack of lactation counselors. That is an extremely important point that we miss out on. And another thing, the child's nourishment. Here I'm going to go back to the evolutionary basics, where the father is the hunter-gatherer and the woman is a nurturer. It's a little against feminism. It's quite against our current societal structure, but that's how we have educated and come forward. But the placenta, the genes of the placenta is the supplier of food to the baby. Those genes are governed by the father's genes. So here, the father's nutritional status, the father's smoking status, alcohol status, he is not merely a sperm donor. He is not merely an ATM bank. He also looks after the nutrition of your unborn child. And that is how God made it. He is still the hunter-gatherer. He is still the fellow who will supply nutrition to the child via his good genes, via his good nutrition, via his good lifestyle habits. So when it comes to the health of the child, only the mother, the onus does not rely on a mother or an influencer or a role model. It relies on the father too.
So, right, Dr. Farah. Very rightly, you've put up a point. Coming to you, Dr. Vaishali, since we are already running out of time, I'll just need your major takeaways. Any other important thing that you think we have missed in the conversation and you would want to add that as a parting note from your side?
I think we have looked at the nutrition of pregnant women and the newborn and even children in complete way, meaning lot of controversies and what the media influencers and the tendency to just Google and follow things blindly and always
I think there's some issue with Dr. Vishali's internet connection. Yeah. So, Dr. Aula, coming to you, what would be your, parting notes? Any other thing that you would want to add to sum up the whole conversation?
My focus point is that the nutrition, we should provide nutrition for adolescent women. Okay, adolescent pregnancy, adolescent women is very important because they are the potential mothers. And as you know, suppose if you're taking care of this early registration of pregnant women, so that most of the early registration is beyond 12 weeks, and especially in rural areas. So after registering this pregnancy, if you are screening and doing, so my point is lot of things damage is already happened because the child brain development and somatic development will occur within 2 months of 60 to 70% brain development will occur within within 4 weeks, within 8 weeks of pregnancy. So if you find any deficiency, if you start supplement, the damage is already occurred. So because of that, the potential mother registration and potential mother screening is very important. So that point I want to focus for a healthy generation. Thank you.
So that indeed was a very, very inspiring session. And I hope our viewers are taking away a lot of information on, how to battle misinformation. Then, of course, nutritional literacy is there. And, how all stakeholders need to come together and initiate this change, which is a work in progress, which keeps on evolving with time. And thank you to all our esteemed panelists for being a part of this panel, for taking out time from their busy schedules and being here with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you, everyone. And to our viewers, I would say that we'll all see you again in another important forum where we'll be discussing about the importance of health and well-being. Meanwhile, you can follow our social media channels to have updated information on health and holistic well-being. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.